Speaking freedom, giving you the answers to be free.
We use the client to develop, to grow, and to bring out the best in themselves. We are simply a tool to help you learn how to make better decisions. Not just one decision, not just today, but for the rest of your life. Encouraging each person through each trial and tribulation.
Work call. Yeah, man. Gotta go in here and dance, but I don't get tired.
Okay, part 2 of the scheme of Todd and Kandi. First off, that shit is so funny. Okay, so it's been about a week or two, maybe just a week, since the divorce announcement. And I need to do a part 2 because a lot of people are seeing shorts of part 1 and they in their feelings, child. I didn't realize that so many people would be in their feelings. I talk about a lot of things, and this one got y'all with the panties in a bunch, okay? But anyways, so on part 2 of the Todd and Kandi scheme, or scheme of Kandi and Todd, whichever the one you want to call it. So the other day I was thinking, and I was going to make a video, and then I stopped because I really have to be inspired. I really have to take in information in order to have something to say. I just don't talk for the sake of talking. So with this video, I want to start out by saying one thing. I've been married before. I was married for 5 years. During those 5 years, we fought, we laughed, we had children together. I enjoyed the overall experience of what marriage is supposed to be, not only based on my marriage, but based on marriages that I've seen, the way that people stick together and they overcome things together. Now, I don't know how each couple learns to overcome things together, but it is definitely a together process once you get married. So if all of your life you've been by yourself, then when you come and get married, you got to learn how to compromise. You got to learn how to love that person the way that they need to be loved. And so it's important to realize that. That's one of the first keys in marrying someone. Then secondly, you got to make sure that you marry somebody that you like in good or bad times. It is never a good idea to marry somebody that you came to like or that had to grow on you. I'm not talking about like a friendship that turns into something else and you eventually, whatever. I'm talking about somebody like you really don't like this person, and then for whatever reason, whether it's church, family, or just, circumstances, y'all kind of grow on each other in a way to where like, well, I didn't like them, but now they cool. It can work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It can work. But the reality is your underlying dislike for a person will always override what you've made yourself endure. Now, to say always is a stretch. I don't like to put definites on anything or speak in absolutes because everything is different for everybody and every couple. There are some people that may not like their spouse and then they grow to like them, but it's not a personality thing. And normally what you ignore to make the relationship happen becomes the biggest problem when a relationship goes on and is endured. So I've been married before. This is the reason why I speak on marriages. I'm not speaking on marriages because I've never been married before and I just got something to say. No, that's not me. That's not the way I do things. So I'm speaking on Kandi's and Todd's marriage as someone who has gone through marriage and divorce. as someone who was, I don't want to say the breadwinner, but my income at the end of everything was better than his income, was more than his income. And he made changes, but he wasn't necessarily doing the things that we talked about in order to progress our relationship, both emotionally and financially. And so for me in marriage, when it comes to partnership, I said in the first video, I want somebody that I can build and grow with. That means that I want to come and be with someone that can feed off of my ideals and I can be inspired by theirs. So like if I got 50 ideals, me being with this person as a spouse should help ignite at least, I want to say, all of the ideals. Everything should be able to happen or to play into something that plays into the things that he do and his ideals, because his profession and his job should complement who I am, my profession and my job. I personally don't want to be with anybody that does something completely opposite. I don't want to be with somebody that does something that goes against my morals or values. And that means, let's say we have a family, and in my moral compass and my values, based on what I believe is good parenting, I would never put anything above being there for my children and with my children. Of course, health comes up. Of course, there are things that may come up with the kids or the children last minute, but you have to, prioritize whatever you got going on. So, you can't, some things you have to drop for your children, and some things you have to plan around your children. And as a mother, as a parent, that is very important to me. So when I say somebody that values align with mine, that also means for me, somebody that prioritizes parenting. So, and all of this is relevant because Todd and Kandi actually have one of the issues that has come up since the last video is that Todd is allegedly seeking custody over the children. Like, she travels, she's gone a lot, and he wants to be the primary caregiver because that's what he does. Now, people think that he wants to be the caregiver because of money, because he wants to get paid, when the reality is children need a present set of parents. They don't need a present mom and then a dad absent. They don't need a present dad and then the mom absent. I am the product. Look, I know I came out good. But I am the product of a mom who did not have time because work was a priority over raising her children. There's nothing wrong with making a living to pay to raise your children, to be able to pay for the things that they need. However, when you put work in front of your children, that can become a problem. And as the breadwinner, the money earner, you got to do what you got to do. Fortunately for me, I never had to make that decision. I always was able to prioritize my children. The one time that they were, and there was one time that I did have to put my son in daycare, but that was not something that I wanted to commit to long term because he had issues. There was issues there when he was a child. The girl was very lightweight. Should have been goddamn hit with an assault charge. I should have sued their ass for real, like when I'm thinking about it. But whatever. Anyways, I took him out of daycare, and then he was with a friend for a while. But then I did not want to have the friend at the time was acting like our child was his a little bit too much. It was too much more like he felt like he was raising our kid, and that made me stop that shit immediately almost. So fortunately, because of the choices that I made as a teenager, at 17 I went to the Army, so that put me in a position to be able to prioritize my family a little bit differently than other people who have to handle their finances differently. That's the best way I can say it. So when it comes to Kandi and Todd and having children together, I don't know. I don't watch Real Housewives of Atlanta like that. I did watch their wedding special. I thought that it was very cute that they got married. I never knew what Todd said about not being attracted to Kandi when she was in a bonnet or something like that. And honestly, some men aren't necessarily sexually attracted to you like that. However, that's a little bit, I don't want to say alarming, but you know, for some men, they're extremely visual. That means that like literally they need somebody that they like the way they look at all times. As a person with dark eyes myself, and you know, like I don't wear my bonnet like that though, you know, but Kandi has expressed previously some insecurities about her eyes. I can identify with that. When it comes to like bonnet and no makeup and all of that, you know, some people get so caught up in what society presents as perfect and pretty and beautiful that it makes some women become insecure about their natural beauty. So if you're insecure already about your natural beauty, then men are going to look at you different because the way you carry your insecurity in those moments. I'm not saying that that's why Todd didn't like looking at Kandi or wasn't sexually turned on when she had her bonnet on, but that is not like foreign. Bonnets wasn't a thing when older couples was together. Women might have had on muumuus, but they still presented themselves like something when they went to the bedroom, honestly. But moreover, we're gonna continue on. So in addition to being married and divorced, in addition to being the person that in the end of the marriage almost had to pay alimony, so I can identify with being a breadwinner, with being with somebody, and creating a lifestyle for yourself that had nothing to do with that person. The decisions that I made to join the Army at 17 had nothing to do with my ex-husband. So when they said that if I waited to stay married longer, I would end up having to pay alimony, I was like, cut this shit off right the fuck now. Okay. So I got married in Georgia, got divorced in Florida. If you live in Florida and you go get a divorce and you've been married for less than, I want to say it is maybe 6 years or 5 and some change that you got to be married in order for you to have to divvy up your funds in the marriage. It was, whatever the number was, it was a number that I did not want to exceed. And because I was in Florida, I could get divorced in 20 days. I'm talking about you file the paperwork. If it's uncontested, goddamn 20 days. If it's contested, it's like maybe 70 or 80 days or something like that. So when my ex-husband was, when I found out the betrayal that my ex-husband did, I immediately was looking for a divorce attorney. I paid cash up front. I paid cash for my divorce. When I went to her, she presented me with, hey, these are your options. You got the short divorce, you got the long divorce. Or if you move back to Georgia, because we was in the process of moving, we had just sold our house. If you move back to Georgia, you got to wait this amount of time before you can get a divorce. And I was like, well, shit, I'm not doing that. So instead of doing that, I filed for divorce as a resident in the state of Florida. My divorce was finalized in 20 days. I paid about $1,500 for it. And I had to present my ex-husband with, hey, this is the schematics. We either get divorced and you sign it and it take this many days, or we get divorced and you don't sign it and take this many days. No matter what, I'm leaving. I'm gone. Because in my life, I have been betrayed a lot. And it's so crazy because I was just talking about this to one of my closest friends as my sister. And when I was talking to her, I was like, and this person this is the way I've been betrayed throughout the course of my life. And, when you think about betrayal, sometimes it's no coming back from certain things. And so for this particular thing, it was no coming back from it. So saying all of that to say, I am talking about Todd and Kandi, not because I come from a inexperienced place. I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been the breadwinner. In addition to that, I study psychology. I study behavior patterns. I write books about healing, understanding, faith, love, and spirituality. These are the books that I write. So when I'm speaking on Kandi and Todd, I'm not speaking on Kandi and Todd and their scheme from an experienced place. I'm not speaking about it from a broke place. Now listen, I'm not a millionaire per se. I'm not a millionaire per se, but I will say that I am financially stable. I am financially established, and I am a walking benefit to whoever comes into my life. So that means that as a woman who is valuable, I have to be mindful of who I let into my life. And I realized that it didn't just apply to men, or it didn't just apply to men in the sense of men gotta watch who come around them, because people be money grubbers and everybody want what's in a man's pocket. Women have to watch this too. Now I have a video about dating a boss and how that works, but the truth of the matter is, when you got something, you have to be mindful who you date. So I won't just date anybody, but I won't just be friends with anybody either. And this came about so when I first bought my home, I have a 6,000 square foot home. It's a little mini mansion or whatever. And I became 100% veteran. Some will know, some won't know. When all of those things happened, I was hanging around people that I knew from churches. One girl had a friend that was cool, and I was like, okay, well, cool. And she immediately said something about, man, let's act like we date so I can get the bit. It was something that was crazy to me because, one, I don't know you. Two, damn, that mean I gotta watch out for friends too. I don't like users. I don't like people that just want to deal with you because they can benefit from you. I want people that like you because they just like you. So, when she said that, it threw me off, but it made me understand that even female friends come around because they can benefit from you. And so it was like, okay, understood, boom, clock it. So, aside from that, when you have money in general, people want to be around. If you look like you got money, people want to be around. If they look like they can get some money from you, people want to be around. And you have to just know that that's what happens. So again, I'm just breaking down what gives me the authority to speak on Kandi and Todd. So I am a breadwinner. I have a big old house. It's bigger than most people anyways. It ain't got down what it's gonna be, but it is what it is right now. I am educated in psychology, behavior patterns particularly. I'm an author as well. So when I speak on Kandi and Todd, I'm not speaking on Kandi and Todd from inexperience. I'm not speaking on Kandi and Todd from a broke person's mindset, because a broke person is going to view a situation like Kandi and Todd's situation a little bit differently than somebody who's financially stable and financially established. I'm not speaking on Kandi and Todd from a ignorant place. I'm educated. I'm experienced. I'm well versed in the subject. I study behavior patterns. I am a love and relationship coach. I am a sex educator. I have all of these things that feed into my views, my understanding, and what I'm saying right now. So when I talk about Kandi and Todd, because somebody was like, well, who do you think you are? And what do you know? I actually know a lot. When I'm talking about Kandi and Todd, I'm talking about the overall grand scheme of things. I try to speak in a way that provides understanding for not just on their situation, but so you can understand beyond their situation and apply it to areas of your life. This is what I do. I help people see through the bullshit, help people understand mindsets, and I help people restructure how they view things based on, the information that I give. So when you think about Kandi and Todd's divorce, particularly, I think about all of the things that contributed to the struggles of their relationship. So when I talk about, whether I'm talking about her businesses and the influence that he played in her branching away from music, because literally, and this is the part that got everybody panties in a bunch, is when I said that Todd influenced her going into production and doing all of the things that she did, because he had those skills. He had that talent. She was a musician, a songwriter primarily. She wasn't, y'all, somebody said that she was already going to go into making a show and all of that. How much easier is it for you to understand the process of making the show and making the show with a husband who is a show producer? Like, that already changes the game on your understanding, because he's giving you knowledge. He's giving you feedback. He's telling you what will work, what won't work. He's helping you put the shit together. That's your husband. Even if, and this is where people not gonna like, even if it's not always a physical conversation, when y'all having sex, when y'all experiencing life together, all of that influences her views, her understanding, how she look at things, views and understanding how she look at things. All of those are really much the same thing, but even her experiences. So there are things that if she would have stayed with the other dude that end up getting, off, or whatever happened to him, 9 times out of 10, you gotta look at the grand scheme of things. When she was just in music, one, she wasn't as busy as she is right now. Like right now, Kandi is a Renaissance woman. Kandi has so many irons in the pot. She got so much going on. She is in plays. She's still doing tours. She has a lot going on. And so when it comes to raising kids, yeah, you could take them with you. Yeah, you could hire nannies. Yeah, you can do all of that. But if the kids got a daddy at home, why the fuck would you hire a nanny? If the kids got a daddy at home, what you gonna do? Leave them with your mama? You can't leave two children that age with an 80-something. Mama Joy's got to be like 80-something. It ain't no way she should be ain't going watching after her grandkids full time when they daddy can help. When you are married, it's not, yes, who is the breadwinner? It can make a difference. A woman that's a breadwinner is probably probably less likely, it's not a definite, it's not an absolute, there are a lot of women that have money that when they come home, all they want to do is shut up and listen. You know why they want to shut up and listen when they get home? Because they run shit all day. They doing shit all day. They gotta control shit all day. When they get home, all they want to do is shut up and listen. They want to fall in line. Because for me, I ain't speaking to nobody else. If I ever get married again, I need someone that is okay with me being a boss outside of house, and then a very submissive person when I come back. Because when I am home, I want a man, honestly, I think I want a man that control me a little. I don't want him to be controlling. Difference between being controlling and then having control. I want a man who has control of the household, the situation. I want a man that I admire so much that I can literally trust him with my life. Like, I don't question him. I don't second guess him. This is why me getting married again might be a long shot. Because to find a man that I won't question, won't second guess, don't have to think if they're considering me, I won't say it's a long shot. It's just I'm not looking for what average people get. And when you're not average, you can't not settle for average. So the same way that I want to be able to come home and just be at peace and not have to run nothing, not have to yell, not have to fuss, and not have to do none of that in order to make shit happen, it's the same way that if I was at home all day raising the children, then guess what? My husband is probably working. And if my husband is out working and I'm raising the children, then when he gets home, life should be easy. Now, I don't know the schematics of what Kandi and Ty got going on, but I would just hope that whenever she do come home, life is easy. Now, the other thing that people been talking about is Kandi's little girlfriend. Now, y'all might not think it's her girlfriend, but, and then Todd cheating. So, this is the main thing of the other video. Listen, when it comes to children, first, when it comes to children, children need to be nurtured by mother and father. If Kandi is always gone, always out, which is a problem when a woman is a boss and trying to be a mom at the same time, if you don't have your children with you, then your children miss out on a lot of things. The reason why I ended up living with a lot of people is because my mama was working all the time. I didn't like being alone, so I just was with whoever would allow me to come around, okay? And I lived with a lot of friends. There is some things that I view my mother differently about because of that, though. It's things within that made me be a different type of mom. I won't leave my kids with just anybody. I won't put them in situations where I'm not readily available or within an hour of availability. I won't, a lot of successful people have to technically kind of abandon their children, even to have a 9-to-5 job. You leaving your kid before they're in regular school, you're leaving your kid with somebody else till 6 p.m. You're only getting so many hours actually spending time with your children. So I don't think that it may be a money grab. I don't know Todd personally like that. So I can't say if he is money driven or not, but I seen how Todd is with his older daughter, and he seems like a very active parent. I seen Todd do daddy daycare days with his children. If he's there and he's present, don't put that responsibility on somebody else. Allow him to be a present dad, and you do what you can as a mom who works and travels a lot. Now we're gonna move on from that and get to the girlfriend thing, because and the threesomes. A lot of people like, man, Kandi and Todd is the reason. Well, Kandi and Todd, Tiana Taylor and Iman, those are two couples that openly talked about having threesomes. And it's other couples that talk about having threesome. I know Ari and Moneybag Gill talk about having threesomes too. But for the most part, when you introduce somebody else into your bedroom, or you decide to have a poly style life, open relationship, or anything like that, it really depends on the dynamic of the relationship, on if a threesome will be a hindrance to your relationship or not. Because threesomes aren't necessarily bad things. They're only bad when you're dealing with people who are trying to use threesomes to make their relationship last and or work. It's only okay if you're really open and honest. It only works when you have an understanding and there's no jealousy or insecurities. You don't have any doubts about your relationship. If you have doubts, if you're doing it to make your relationship work or anything like that, then a threesome will be the demise to your marriage, because y'all not even locked in. Y'all don't even like each other like that. So if you introduce somebody else into your marriage and you don't like the person that you're with, you're not direly in love with them, then is likely going to end up with that person mating with or creeping with somebody else. I think it's crazy to cheat when you are with a person who openly lets you have threesomes and fuck other people, because y'all could just find the bitch that you want to fuck together and then fuck her together. But a lot of times those are touch and go situations. So you might have a threesome, but you might not want to be with that person. And then now he's out on the prowl almost. This is why most times when you have threesomes, it's better to be poly and be open, so that you don't have to hide the narrative. But the thing is, threesomes do introduce the ability or the desire to have something outside of your covenant, connection, or marriage. But it's not the demise. It's only the demise if you're trying to substitute for substance in a relationship. It opens you up to other people thinking that they can come close to you. Now, when you top on having a semi-open relationship to Kandi getting what it looks like to be a girlfriend that travels with them, is with them, with them. When you add that dynamic in, when you add her unavailability because of travel and him being with the kids in, the combination is more of a leeway to the demise of a marriage. You take one thing and it's okay. If she's busy and they can make it work just with her being busy, cool. But when she's busy and they have threesomes, then she's busy, and now shit, you should be letting me fuck other bitches anyways. I might as well find some, you know what I'm saying? It also opens the door for him being vulnerable, him feeling neglected, him feeling all these things that sometimes people like women in the military feel when they end up with somebody else. Cheating is never okay. Cheating is when you go outside of your relationship without the permission of the person that you're in a relationship with, and you sneak, not sleep, sneak behind somebody's back and do, whatever you're doing. That could be phone conversations, that could be sleeping together, that could be dates, anything where you got to sneak and do it. You're cheating, bitch. You're cheating. Stop cheating. But when you can openly have a conversation with the person that you with and say, look, this is how I'm feeling, this is where I'm at, this is what I want to do, cool, then that's more on the poly side of things. This is why I respect Neo so much, because Neo decided, hey, I like a variety. So instead of lying, cheating, or trying to make you believe that I'm going to be somebody other than who I actually am, I'm just gonna get women that are okay with me being with them a little bit, but not like with me not being with nobody else. And that's something that more people should respect. So in the midst of me being a love, relationship, and sex educator / coach, I definitely, somebody just sent me a message that threw me off. In addition to that, I study, like if I'm into something educationally, I study it. So I actually kind of got tricked into going to one lifestyle party, but prior to that, I was already open to understanding polygamy. And the reason why I was open to understanding it, because everybody in the Bible, all the kings of old, had hundreds, several concubines, wives, and or somewhere in between. And I saw somebody that had, it was two wives and a husband. And then I started following a wife that had more than one husband. Well, now the husband's got more than one wife. So it's like, you know, they are living lifestyles that are different than the norm, but they work. So I get an understanding of why poly works for some people. If you got a team, it's just like running a business, which is the same as marriage. Like I said before, marriage is a business. So when Todd and Kandi got married, they got into a business agreement with the government to function as a couple, a partnership. And so when you decide to do that, everything that y'all do is together. Even when people get married and then become poly, it's still a together process. It's still them making sure that that person works for the dynamic that they've chosen. And so, listen, so many things go into relationships, will open people up to cheating and all these other things, that you can't really pinpoint a person's motives, because a lot of people like, see, Mama Joyce is right. Guess what? Even if Todd didn't want Kandi for her money, once Mama Joyce planted that seed that he was going to take her money, or that it was just about money, guess what? That opened him up to be like, well, shit. Because let me tell you something. There are some people that won't do you wrong, but if you plant that seed of being done wrong, then something wrong will happen. And so it's no way of them breaking up that people would not have reverted back to Mama Joyce was right. The only way that they would have not said that is if they would have stayed together. But the thing is even if the marriage would have never worked, when Mama Joyce, anytime a parent or people are against something enough, it normally pushes people together. So even if they wouldn't have gotten married, when Mama Joyce start planting them seeds, start hating and doing all that fuck shit towards Todd, towards his mama and all of that, that type of stress can be detrimental. It can really have a bad effect on a person's health. So, like, stop letting people be in y'all marriages. I don't want to speak too bad on Mama Joyce, because I don't know what Mama Joyce went through in her relationships. I don't know what Mama Joyce went through when she was getting married, and what scarred her, what things she didn't heal within herself that makes her so bitter towards men. It's kind of like Miss Evelyn. Mama Joyce and Miss Evelyn are kind of two peas in a pod, but they are equivalent to women of that age and of that generation, where they seen a lot of shit. They experience even more. And then because Kandi is the breadwinner and she not the matriarch of the family, but she the money bag of the family, okay? Because that is the case, And she might have other people in her family with money. She have other people in her family with good jobs. But she's the primary person that's making sure the shit goddamn don't sink. So that does. People are like, well, why can't they just care about her? Because they can care about her because they care about her. They also care about her because she's valuable. I bet you they don't make this much of a fuss. Her family don't make this much of a fuss with none of the other relatives in the family about who they date and all of that. She got money. They're supposed to be protective of her because she got money, okay? They're supposed to be protected because of that, and then also because she's their family member. But when you project that, then you put that on that person, and then guess what? Even if I didn't want your money, now it's going to become an issue. It's going to be an issue regardless, because that's what people's minds are going to automatically go to. People don't know if Kandi and Todd are getting a divorce because of something that they both contributed to that eventually played into the bigger picture of schemes. All they want to do is take sides and point fingers. And honestly speaking, when it comes to divorce, you cannot take sides or point fingers, because you don't know, just like I don't know, every single detail of every single thing that has gone on in their relationship or their marriage. You don't know the conversations. And we know the clips of the shit that Todd done said, and Todd be saying some shit. And this is why everybody don't need a motherfucking podcast. This is why everybody does not need to voice their thoughts on TV. They can think them, but when you put it out there for reality TV, for YouTube TV, for whatever TV to see, then you're inviting people in to have an opinion. And when they start having an opinion, those things plant seeds. All of this conversation is about people planting seeds. Mama Joyce planting seeds, the internet planting seeds, whatever your friends and people that's close to you, they plant seeds, the family plant seeds. What are you going to allow to stick? And the crazy thing is that if you honestly marry somebody that y'all trying to make it make sense versus y'all just being really in love with each other and then get married, it's going to be a different experience. It's going to be a different experience. That's why I do not suggest people get married too quickly either. Because you get married quick, and then guess what? You don't even know the person. Get to know who you're marrying. That could take months. That could take years. It could mean that y'all don't need to really be together. But when you start making things work, whether it is making, I want to say making babies, thinking that that's going to help the relationship. Children do not make a relationship work. Children actually put a strain on the relationship because it takes away of your ability to really focus on your spouse, because now these children make a difference. And you can try to put your spouse first over your children, but at the end of the day, them children are codependent on whoever the guardian is. So it's just a lot when you think about children, and then when you think about having children with surrogates. It's a lot of things that went on in the course of what we could see with Kandi and Todd's relationship that can give us an opinion. Again, I don't watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't want to have that much information on people that I respect, and then that shit make me look at them different. Because I used to like Phaedra when she first came to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Then I realized that she's a fucking liar. So I don't like liars. I don't like users. I don't like manipulators. I don't like drama, period, for real. So those shows just don't mesh well with me. And then I would be on there trying to give everybody therapy. You think this is something? If I start watching reality TV, the ones worthy of watching, I don't want to watch none of those fighting shows, that Bad Girls Club or whatever the fuck. I don't want to do none of that zoo shit. None of that wild cabaret, whatever they got going on. I don't want to do none of that type. Even that's why I stopped watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's too much fighting, it's too much bickering, it's too much staged agitation, when it shouldn't be like that. And if I watch those shows, then I am going to begin to dissect people online like this. And I don't want to put a person's business out there. I don't know them, but there are things that people show you that if you look at their behavior patterns, if you look at the thinking behind what they're saying, doing, or who they become, it would tell you a lot about them, whether they're chasing fame, whether they're groupie-ish, whether, you know what I'm saying, who a person shows you they are, you have to believe it. And when I watch shows like that, I get feedback because I'm looking at people and I'm understanding the psychology of who they are. I'm understanding the mentality of what they're doing, what they're going through. I know that some of it is just staged, but when you start to understand people on a different level, sometimes that can get dull and uninteresting to watch people. And then now I feel like, damn, is this going on? And is this going on? And start reading. I don't want to read you, so I don't want to watch you. And I might, but I don't want to necessarily. Anyways, again, I speak on Kandi and Todd and their scheme because I am a life coach who studies psychology, who have a mediation certification and criteria. Like, I am well educated in everything: marriage, family, psychology, and spirituality. I'm educated on a few other things, but that doesn't apply here. But the difference between me and a lot of people that will speak on Kandi and Todd, a lot of people have never been married. A lot of people are not life coaches. A lot of people have a degree in nothing. A lot of people haven't done the research, the learning, the experiences. They haven't taken all of that to be able to give an objective opinion. I'm not saying that Todd is wrong, Kandi is right. I'm not saying that Kandi is right or Todd is wrong. I'm not saying how their marital assets should be split up, but I know that when you are married, that person has an influence on who you are as a person, on what you decide to do, and who you become. Who you're with, we see it with damn Sierra and Future versus Sierra and Russell. The way they dress changed, you know what I'm saying? It's some key factors that changed on who she was, where she was going, and who she became. Because she had become close to where she is now with Future, yes. But guess what? It was easy peasy lemon squeezy from the outside looking in with Russell. Her whole demeanor changed. The way she structured her businesses changed. That's because of who she's with. So that doesn't change because of who the people in a relationship. When you are with a person, this is why there's a soul tie connected with sex, because when you are with a person, their energy feeds your energy. Their mindset feeds your mindset, even without conversation all the time. This is why when you sleep with a person, you can start becoming like that person. When you get married, two becomes one. When you get married, your ideals play off of each other. When you get married, there is no real separation between you and that person, aside from the time that y'all not together. Yes, y'all are two different people, but those two people now are in sync. Sex, this is one of the reasons why sex in marriage is important, because it keeps y'all in sync. It's the spiritual, mental, and sexual chemistry. There's a picture that goes around, and I'm almost done. There's a picture that goes around where it's two people sitting together, and the way they're positioned, the picture shows like a cycle, like how the energy flows amongst them. When you get married, that energy flows. When you create that covenant, that energy flows. When you have sex, that energy flows. The spiritual world and the physical world are different in the sense of, spiritually, sex is the covenant that creates marriage. physically, the license that you go get from the state is the covenant that creates marriage. When you put it together, you are creating a cycle, a system, a connection spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally with that other person. It doesn't just happen because of sex, but sex deepens that level of intimacy. So when two people are sexually involved, they become like each other. They are exchanging energy with each other, and that plays into who you are as a person, how you think, how you carry yourself. All of those things make a difference. So when I talk about Kandi and Todd, with all of my education, writing books and everything, right now I have 13 books that I've authored, 14 technically, and you can go and order those books to get an understanding of why I think the way I do. When I talk about Kandi and Todd, this is me incorporating everything that I wrote about in my faith books. When I talk about Kandi and Todd, this is everything that I wrote about in spiritual human behavior. When I talk about Kandi and Todd, it's from a different level of understanding. It's me seeing what they present and then dissecting it based on what I know, spiritually, emotionally, educational wise. And I am putting all of that to give my opinion. Of course, these are just my opinions. I am a life coach who's deeply educated beyond most life coaches. I have a doctorate in philosophy and psychology. I have written books about everything that I'm talking about. I have books in the works for relationships and effective communication. I don't speak from an uneducated place. I don't speak from a place of who do I think I am. I'm just somebody who is very spiritual, very aware. I've worked on healing. Spiritual human behavior is about healing childhood trauma, understanding who you are, where you are, and your purpose, and how every decision is a lesson and everything works together to get you to where you're supposed to be. So even if we look at Kandi and Todd and we like, damn, we sad that they divorcing, we hope it don't get messy, but at the end of the day, Kandi and Todd had to come together for Kandi to become who she was supposed to become, and for Todd to become who he was supposed to become. Now, that did not necessarily have to be marriage, but that's the route that they took. And in that, they created Blaze and they created Ace. And with those children, greatness will be made. It will be something that comes out of them. But everything that happened in their lives had to happen in order for them to get to where they are now. Because guess what? If the other guy that she was messing with, that Mama Joyce hated also. Mama Joyce don't like no goddamn body, okay? If the other guy would have still been alive, she would not have had Ace and Blaze. They would have been two different children if they would have ever had children. We don't know if she would have used a surrogate or not. We don't know how having a surrogate played on their relationship. We don't know. It's some things that we don't know that we don't know. And I can go back and I can watch Todd's YouTube. I can go back and I can watch Kandi's YouTube. And I can, you know what I'm saying, decode and decipher all the shit or whatever. But at the end of the day, every experience that we have is a part of the plan that God made for us prior to us being here. And the truth of the matter is, we just have to make peace with what we signed up for before we got to earth and what God has allowed us to go through based on our choices. Because everything that we go through is based on the choices that we made that got us there. And we have to deal with and accept whether we went against our gut, and all of this is to fine tune us. So if we go against our gut, if we go against the people around us, whatever this is to learn how to be better versions of ourselves. Because if you learn that When you get a certain feeling, it means something, then guess what? You're going to pay closer attention to that feeling. But if you don't go through things to teach you anything, then you'll never learn how to be who you're supposed to be. How to learn your cues, your senses, your triggers, and all those other things. Life is more than what we see. It's even more than what we feel. But it takes a while for us to understand the true evolution of life, how all things work together, and how all things kind of lead you to where you're supposed to be. If you stop looking at difficulties as the devil and you start learning from those experiences, then you'll get a lot of blessings from those lessons, and then you'll become the person that you're supposed to be. But it takes a lot of reflecting. It takes a lot of inner work. So Todd and Kandi have a lot of inner work to do, but it's hard to do inner work when you're extremely busy. It's hard to do inner work when you have reality TV around you, because everything is always on. And if you always have to be on, then it's hard to really settle into who you're meant to become. So that's the end. And I did not expect it to be this long, but here we are. Anyways, I loved Kandi and Todd. It sucks when anybody gotta get a divorce, but sometimes divorce happens, and sometimes divorce happens for the best of us. Sometimes divorce is not bad. Sometimes divorce is the blessing in disguise.
At least I live what I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all inside of me is sexuality.
Thank you for joining Speaking Freedom as we continue to assist you with your daily growth and intuitive wisdom. Loving is a lifestyle and we love to love. Inspiration is how we fuel faith. Please join us daily for your inspiration and motivation.
We have the entire world to offer you at your fingertips. Your life enhancement coaching specialist. Thank you for choosing us to assist you in accomplishing your personal and professional goals. And have a beautiful day. In love, we trust. This is brought to you by Good Head Group, Love Gang, and Speaking Freedom. We thank God for you, and we love you.